everyone, Jamieleigh here from BirdTricks, and I'm joined again today with Lauren McGough, and we are talking about when eagles attack parrots and how to keep your free-flying parrots safer in the midst of knowing that eagles are out there too. So in this part 2, we're going to be asking some completely different questions, but they're still really awesome and all around the idea of keeping our free-flighted parrots safe. So one of the questions I have for you is, molting. This is a really confusing topic for me, just hearing it from falconers. They always say, oh, my parrot's going through, or my falcon is going through a molt and they're not flying. What does that mean exactly? Because parrots go through molts and it doesn't really disrupt their flying. They might become a little bit uncomfortable if a feather's a little bit loose, but it doesn't mean that we need to put them up and they will stop flying. And then also, how is that relative to wild eagles? Does molting affect them?
Yeah, so the traditional falconry season is you fly your bird fall and winter, and we say put them up for the spring and summer. So when a bird of prey molts, you want them to be as fat and robust as possible. Let them eat what they want because it helps them grow really nice new feathers. Okay. And combined with the warmer weather, typically they don't have the appetite to want to hunt with you.
Okay.
And yeah, it's because hunting wouldn't be the forefront of their mind. If you flew them, they might want to soar, and then they could get really far. They tend to zone out when they soar because they're so high up, and it's a good recipe to lose your bird, a falconry bird.
Okay.
Now, they're not all like that. I have an eagle right now that I'm flying through the molt. So it can be very individual as well.
Okay.
And also, as a falconer, it can be taxing to give your bird opportunities to hunt. It can, if you're not careful, it can take over your whole day, week, life. So it's nice for us to have a break for a few months where everybody can just relax and you don't have to be out looking for jackrabbits all the time. But it doesn't have much to do with, like, I don't know, I don't notice any signs of discomfort or anything. Eagles tend to, so most hawks and falcons will molt all their feathers over the spring and summer. Eagles are unique in that they'll molt about half.
Okay.
So you get a partial molt, and so it takes an eagle about 5 years before it reaches its full adult plumage. Whereas most hawks and falcons, their second year, they're in adult plumage. Okay. So in the molt is well timed for birds of prey because they need to be so robust to grow good feathers. In the spring and summer, there's lots of young rabbits around, lots of easy meals, lots of little ground squirrels, and so it's relatively easy for an eagle to become fat and happy in the spring and summer. And then in winter, they have to buckle down and really work on their hunting to maintain through the winter.
Okay.
So that's why we typically don't fly in the summer. But for wild eagles, yeah, you'll see, well, a good telltale sign if you're near an eagle nest or in their main part of the territory in that part of the year is, of course, feathers on the ground.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure parrots must be the same way. So they're very ingenious about the molt in that they'll drop mirroring feathers.
Yes. Yep, it's the same. It makes sense. Good job, nature.
Yeah, right, exactly. No, so I loved watching you with your parrot, helping him get the pin feathers
Preening
to come
him,
out.
yeah.
I've not done that with my eagle, but it makes me
thinking about it. That's awesome. So one of the more, I don't know, I kind of think it's a dark question in a way, but will eagles kill for fun?
Yeah, this is, gosh, it's, what an interesting question. It's a hard thing to tease out because we're human, and what is fun to an animal? And I would say eagles, like I said, they're very opportunistic. I think the closest thing I might see to that is say a falconer is flying their falcon and they catch a pheasant.
Okay.
So the falcon catches a pheasant and it's in the distance. The eagle might come in, kill the falcon, and take the pheasant. Where it could eat the falcon or just scare the falcon off, but the falcon is killed to get the other meal. But that's just, it's just the dog-eat-dog nature of nature. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they wouldn't, I've never experienced eagles killing multiple things and leaving them. And again, it's so hard to survive, especially in the winter. They're usually just looking for anything and everything to get them through that cold in the next day.
Yeah. Okay. So another question I have is, how big is their territory? So say somebody's like, oh, hey, there's some nesting golden eagles over there. Make sure you kind of stay out of their territory. What does that mean? How big is a territory? Approximately. It doesn't have to be exact, but roughly.
So this depends on a few factors, actually.
Okay.
It depends how many prey animals are in the environment.
Oh.
So if it's a really abundant place and there's lots of rabbits around, territories become smaller because more eagles can survive in a smaller area. In a place where it's a down year for a lot of prey animals, the territories become huge because an eagle needs to patrol a big area to get enough.
That makes sense.
But typically, a square mile,
Okay.
I would say. If you were a mile from a nest, I would feel pretty good. I mean, the more the better. But again, if you're in a place that is doing really well, its prey base is doing really well, you might get a mile from one nest and then be butting against another nest. Which then again, it'd be good to get away from the hills where they tend to have the most nests.
Okay. And is there a certain aspect of how people affect their territory? Like, are they going to stay super far away from people at all? Homes, houses, just certain things? Or do people not really affect their territory so much?
People do affect their territory in different ways. So, for example, in places where eagles might be shot with some frequency, eagles might have a higher flight distance. We call it flight distance. So distance at which they see a person and want to get the heck out of there. But in places where they don't experience any persecution from people, they might lose that fear and become more, their flight distance is quite small. So you could get within maybe 100 yards of an eagle before it flew. But generally speaking, eagles don't like urban environments and they don't want to be around human structures and things and people in general. Yeah.
So you aren't likely to have nesting eagles on your property?
Heck no.
Okay.
No. They want privacy when they nest.
Okay.
You have to go looking and usually looking hard to find one.
Okay. Cool.
Yes.
That's what I was definitely wondering. So as far as them, when they come in for an attack, are you going to see it coming? Because I've noticed a lot when we're out flying, my birds might look up and I'm kind of like, what are they looking at? And it takes me a good few seconds to figure out that tiny little speck way up there is maybe an eagle. How do they attack? Do they just like drop out of the sky, come straight down, and you don't ever see it coming? Can you hear them? Like what does that look like?
So they're not as stealthy as, say, a peregrine falcon.
Okay.
That would be, I think, my main worry if I were flying parrots in certain places. Eagles are very conspicuous. They're very loud with the wind rushing through their feathers. Okay. So I love that you look where your parrot is looking. Such a great thing to do. I would definitely, if they're interested in some speck of sky, try to figure out what it is or identify that bird of prey or at least watch that other speck.
Yeah.
So an eagle it'll dive in, but not as dramatically or as fast as a falcon.
Okay.
So you'll be able to see that speck get bigger and bigger. They tend to do more shallow stoops instead of a vertical like a falcon. They might come in shallow, and you'll have, which is why in our last interview I advocated for running and waving your arms.
Yeah.
you'll see this big thing coming and you'll be able to make your presence known to it.
Okay.
So I would definitely do that, and I would say it would be rare that one would just appear out of nowhere on your bird or anything like that.
Would it look different if, say, that eagle is sitting in a tree, just hanging out? Maybe we don't see it in that tree. Maybe our parrots don't see it in a tree. Are they likely to attack from that vantage point?
If the parrot put itself at a disadvantage in the eagle's point of view, which might be to an eagle, say, sitting on the ground.
Okay.
If the parrot is on the ground and there's an eagle in a tree, it thinks, oh, all I got to do is fly over and grab it on the ground. So a parrot flying would be more, from that vantage in a tree, they would be less likely to attack, because an eagle takes time to get up speed and build, which they need speed for their agility. So if they did attack from a tree, it would be a beeline, and it would be if your parrot was sitting on the ground, preening, not paying attention, kind of a thing.
Okay. Okay, so this is a super interesting question to me that I've always wondered, because for us, it's really impressive to get our birds flying for minutes on end. We're just like, heck yeah, man, their stamina is awesome. This is fantastic. What is a typical flight duration for an eagle? Like, how long are they in the air? Because I imagine it's just crazy surpassing our parrots.
So are we talking like my falconry eagles?
Yeah, because I imagine those are the ones you're kind of clocking and able to have data on.
Yeah. So there's two different ways to fly an eagle.
Okay.
Off the fist or soaring.
Okay.
And they're very different. So off the fist is when you have the eagle on your glove and you are walking through the field, and when a jackrabbit flushes, the eagle leaves your glove and tries to catch it. And it's a sprint. It's like
chase.
Usain Bolt. You get there, you flap and as fast as you can, as hard as you can, catch up to the jack, do your quick maneuvers, see if you can catch it. So that would be like your 100-meter dash.
Okay.
And then soaring is much more your marathoner, because they have to find the lift, work the lift, and it's I personally think, from what I've seen with young eagles, it's hard to hold your wings out like this for a long time. And it seems easy, but when I teach young eagles how to soar, I think their wings get sore quite a bit in the beginning, holding them like this. So it's less initial energy, but it's over a long period of time. The other day I soared my eagle for 1 hour and 40 minutes. She was on the wing.
Whoa.
But I also take her out on days that make it the easiest. So I take her to a hill on a windy day. The wind's pushing against the hill, and she can ride that elevator up. But I also think that it's tiring for them in the wind to be buffeted. Just working it out. I think there's so much that's hard for us to appreciate about the physicality of flying.
Yeah.
So I enjoy them both. The sprinter, the off the fist flying, I get maybe 6, 7 good sprints, and then they're too tired.
Okay.
And then I would say about 2 hours is the maximum for soaring with a fit eagle for me.
It's a long time. And those chases, how long are those chases? Is it like less than 20 seconds? Or
from the, which kind?
The one that you were talking about where you're just walking through the field and they just leave your fist and go.
I would say most are about 10 seconds. So it's like,
gosh.
It's such a crazy thing where I might be walking, you're walking with your eagle for 1 hour, and maybe you see 2 jackrabbits. So you get 20 seconds where your heart's in your throat and you don't know what's going to happen, and is the eagle going to catch it? And no matter what happens, it's so satisfying to watch. Because my second favorite animal is the jackrabbit.
Aww.
Because, oh my goodness, they do things I didn't even know a mammal was capable of doing.
Yeah.
They'll jump in the air and go over the eagle's head. They'll do a quick 180 and come back the way they came, and the eagle's just kind of in the dust, wondering how it got behind it. They're amazing, and the vast majority do get away, which mimics how it would be in the wild.
Yeah,
and
kind of makes you appreciate
the
agility of those rabbits. That's amazing. Okay, I was guessing it was way beyond 5 minutes, but I didn't guess like 2 hours. That So some of the crossover that we have is that we both use Marshall GPS and telemetry. How have you kind of learned from that? And when did you start integrating it? Was it something that when you were 14 you knew about different technology? Were they even in existence then? Or was it something that's more recent? And did you use it in Mongolia? Like how has it changed, I guess, training your eagles?
Marshall GPS is definitely new, and I'm so glad I've been around to experience it. I would never not use it now.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So we've always, since I've been a falconer from 2001, we've always had telemetry, but radio telemetry, which is more of a hot, cold, gives you an idea of where your bird is. But it still takes some nuance to use, and it gives you ideas more than specifics. And it was scary. You know, I used to put so much time into training your bird and developing a bond. I was really terrified of the idea of my bird just flying off and I couldn't find it. So that fear, I think, made me a worse falconer, because I wouldn't let my bird fly to the hill or get too far away from me. I was always calling it back instead of letting it be a bird.
And develop.
And this GPS, which I've only been using 2 or 3 years because it's such new technology, gives me the confidence to let my eagle develop into an eagle. And it's great. It's calming. I don't have the anxiety. If my eagle flies out of sight to try to get on a soar, I just look and see on the map where it is. It really lets me let them be a better bird.
Yeah, that's so cool that you say that, because Dave and I went through the exact same mindset. You know, when we started free flying, that we didn't know of any sort of technology, and so we were so much about the training, and it was the same thing where you're kind of nervous for them to go too far, and we really played it safe and we're kind of overly cautious, and I think it held the birds back. And we always say, like, what if we had Marshall GPS and telemetry when we first started? Like, how would it have changed our whole journey? And so hearing you say the exact same thing that has been our mindset, it's just really cool that it's now out there. So people learning now get to start with it and just get to have that ease. Because, you know, animals are very in tune for how we're feeling. So if we're just freaking out and nervous, they know. So, no, that's really awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing this interview. I'm really excited about the new information that it's bringing to free flyers all over and keeping parrots more safe outside, because that is our goal. That is what we want to do. We want to see this done right, and we don't want to see restrictions put on it for it being done wrong. So I appreciate your knowledge and information and all of it and sharing it with us. So
thank you. No, thank you for teaching me about parrots and free flying. It's fascinating.
Oh, definitely. Well, if you guys want to learn more about Lauren and possibly follow her, I will leave all of her social links in the video description. A big shout out to Marshall. Thank you guys so much for setting up all of this awesome collaboration. Lots of links in the video description, so check them out if you want to learn more about GPS and telemetry.